Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now here's Jay.
Well, here's Jay, and this is actually part 2 of the Educated Retirement, now that we are doing 2-hour formats, which I'm very happy about, especially if we have someone like Valerie V speaking with us, and we're all learning and having a great conversation. So this is the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET, the Mighty Met. And don't forget www.drheckham.com or www.theeducatedretirement.com. My phone number, and of course I will get you tied up with Valerie if anything that she can help you with, or even if you want to just say hello. My phone number is 866-955-2233. And like I was saying, I am lucky enough to have Valerie on the show with us. And the last half hour we talked a lot about, because Valerie does real estate and lending and a lot more. It's like the list goes on, that I think anything that you need professional help with, even if you don't feel you need help, you still need to talk to Valerie to make sure you're doing the right thing. But we concentrated on buying property the last half hour. And with that, we talked about interest rates. We talked about secrets that really shouldn't be secrets, but just things, tricks, or whatever you want to call them, methods for what a good realtor can do to get you past the rest of the crowd that's looking to buy a property. And some of the things just seem so black and white and so normal, and yet I hadn't thought of them. So that's why we need Valerie. But before we go on to any other subject, what do you think, Valerie? What do you think? We talked a bit about values and how the values are going to stay where they are, but or even go up for a little while longer. What about the rates? What do you see as far as the overall economy here in this country and what we're facing and that kind of thing, and how it's going to affect whether we invest in real estate or not, or whether we should get rid of it, which I don't think we should, but that kind of thing.
Certainly there may be some of us may own some properties which it might be a good time to sell. Maybe we have investment properties that aren't doing so well, aren't giving us the return that we would like to have. So maybe now might be a great time to sell those. Maybe you've got something that you'd rather take that money and invest it in something else, then it might be a good reason to sell. Maybe you can take that same money and invest it somewhere else, and it would give you a better return or a safer return. All those things might be good reasons to sell right now. You can get such a great return on your money right now on the properties that are selling here in California. And actually the market's hot everywhere. As far as interest rates, I don't think that interest rates are going to change a whole lot this year. I do think that we do have some challenges in the economy. As long as the feds are printing money as fast as they are, eventually that's going to catch up with us, and something will have to be changed. We certainly see a lot of changes in the new administration's policies as far as giving money to people in one way or the other and printing money to support the COVID relief. So these are challenges that we haven't met before. Certainly, there's always presidents that have different policies, different economic policies. But what we're going through right now, as far as needing to support people who are going through the COVID challenges that they are with jobs and kids in school and restaurants that have to put up outside dining areas. Those are challenges that we haven't had to face before. So certainly that's going to have some effect on the economy. The other thing that's affecting the economy is the lack of things that's happening. A year ago, well, not a year ago now, it's been almost a year, hard to believe, isn't it, Jay? March 3rd, when COVID really started to affect Southern California, Orange County anyway, So we used to drive up and down the freeway and we saw cranes in the air, which meant the
Yeah,
thing was
yeah,
going,
true.
and now we don't. So there's things that are not happening, and then there's things that are, and all those are things they're going to have to adjust. For example, if Disneyland opens, we're not just going to be able to open Disneyland and one day everybody comes. There'll be new safety factors. You've got all those workers that had to go someplace else. You're going to have to try to bring people back to work, get those rides pumped up again, get things moving again. And just, the way we serve food will never be the same.
No.
All of the things are going to be very, very different. So where that goes, we don't really know, but there's some things that happened and some things that didn't happen. We'll have to adjust all that.
Absolutely. Disneyland. It used to be a pass holder, but now there's no such thing as a pass holder anymore.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
And I
they
understand
go
for
ahead.
that, they were concerned that that after COVID, they would have people, that the pass holders would, and a lot of them being local, would take space away from the people who are outside of Orange County, who wouldn't be able to come then because the pass holders, let's say, for example, they can only have 20% occupancy. Then the pass holders would take up all that occupancy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hearing from Anaheim. I'm hearing that that's one of the reasons that they had to change that.
Well, that's okay. I mean, there's always going to be space for you at Disneyland. I mean, there's so many people that go in and out of there all the time. And of course, they did open themselves up for COVID vaccines.
They did.
Which was very good. Now, I couldn't. Have you had a vaccine yet?
I'm having my vaccine tomorrow in Disneyland. I don't know how many of our listeners have had theirs happen, but Disneyland in Disneyland style is very organized. I'm hearing you go in, and when you leave now, they give you your appointment for the second shot. So Jay, you may not know this. Maybe you haven't. Have you had your first shot?
No, and the doctors don't want me to have one for a few more weeks.
So
because of the weakened condition I'm already in because of the, and, not that we're worried about anything really happening, but it does weaken your body a little bit because of the RNA that's being injected into your body. And, a couple of days of being a little more tired than normal. So, basically I'm told, don't leave the house. Okay, I won't. And if I do, stay in the car. So, I'm okay from that point of view. But congratulations on getting the vaccine.
Right. Well, that's the conversation with everybody. It used to be for a while I would go into stores. I'd say, oh, cute. Where did you get your mask?
Yeah.
Now you go up to see anyone and you say, oh, did you have your vaccine? So the conversation this year has certainly changed over what it was 12 months ago. Boy,
I'll tell you, everything has changed. 12 months ago, we were February. We were still pretty clean. I mean, maybe we shouldn't have been, but we thought we were running right. I hadn't gotten sick yet, so what did I know? I still weighed 100 pounds more than I do now. Things were just rolling right along. But I know you had go ahead.
This time last year, hadn't we started to hear about the COVID in Kirkland, Washington?
Yes, yeah.
It just started to come in because it was after Chinese New Year, right?
Which
Chinese
is
New Year.
Today.
It is. So shortly after that, we started to hear about it in Kirkland, Washington. And then March 3rd, there was supposed to be the biggest convention of the year in Anaheim, the Natural Foods Convention. And the night before the convention started at 5:30 the night before, they canceled it. And that's when some would say all hell broke loose with the COVID at least in California.
Yeah, well, and then the whole country and the whole planet and that kind of thing. So hopefully we're on our way to get that put back together again. Now, you and I are in a couple of businesses that really, if anything, it got better because of, and I hate to say that the COVID is doing good for anything or anybody, but our businesses did not suffer. And so many other people have suffered so much. That's why I think all these people, like in restaurant businesses, this and that and whatever, are those people going to be able to buy less property by the end of the year or next year? And that's where I kind of get some of my thoughts of, are we still good in real estate and that kind of thing, and having extra properties. And one thing you did mention about selling other properties, you do a lot of business in vacation rentals also, correct?
I do. I help people buy and sell and manage vacation rental properties. Some people refer to them as Airbnbs, although Airbnb is only the name of a portal. It's like a stub hub. But yes, we do help people with those type of businesses.
So, it's the people that are not in our kind of business that I do worry about. And I worry about how it could affect our economy. Now, I think we always seem to come out doing well in this country. And I still have that same feeling. But, that doesn't mean there's going to be not a lot of people who really suffer along the way between here and there. So you had given us some very good advice the last time you were on the show about stopping and looking around you and taking everything into account and planning on the future. Do you remember that part of?
I do.
Yeah.
A little.
And I really love that. So I don't know whether you want to get into a little bit of that or not, because we are getting closer to the time that we can start breaking out of this. And therefore, it might even be more important to hear some of that now.
I saw a little survey recently about what are some of the things you did before COVID that you can't do now, or things that you never thought you would do because of COVID. And one of the jokes was, I never thought I would walk into a bank with a mask on and ask. And that's something that we're doing. And some people have become so concerned about the virus, some people more than others, and some people have a right to be, that they're saying even after they're vaccinated, they're always going to wear masks. And Jay, I saw a recap on somewhere this week of someone who went to Shark Tank about 3 years ago and tried to get them to buy into her product, which was personalized face masks. And they said, nobody will ever wear them. And of course, now here we are. How many companies have pivoted into making personal protection equipment, right?
Right.
If only we had known. If only we had known. But
I think, go ahead.
It is important for people to look around. Some of the things that we've learned is, the impact of some people. We were talking about this in a relationship yesterday, is that working from home. And some people say, I could work from home, or would your employees get as much work done if they worked from home? But if your kids are home from school and the dog is there and your wife is working out at home and you're trying to be on a Zoom call, that's a real challenge.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same.
No, it's not the same. So when you say, will people ever go back to offices? I believe they will.
I believe they will also.
And I believe that there's two reasons for that. First of all, I don't think we like being alone. I think we crave the interaction. And for example, as soon as some of the restaurants were reopened recently, to where even now we can dine outside, the restaurants are packed. People are outside together.
Right.
We don't want to go get food and take it home and sit in the house by ourselves, just the two of us.
Right. Absolutely. And, it's just, I think you talked about back then about this being a time to pivot, but not necessarily change. Pivot means to look around you, decide what the future could be, and then don't jump to conclusions, but just put yourself, take a look at what could be coming in the future and make your decisions based on that. So, so when it comes to real estate and that, again, real estate is selling like gangbusters, right?
It is.
And
It is. And that's why maybe it's a good time if you have a property that you don't need to have or that's not performing at its max,
mhm,
that you could take that money and do something that would be more enjoyable to you. You'd rather take that money and go buy a second home somewhere in a, I mean, I know somebody owns rental properties in Indianapolis, of all places. He has a short-term rental, an Airbnb type house in Indianapolis that does very, very, very well, booked 90% of the time. Who would think of that in Indianapolis? So you can go to Indianapolis and buy a house for $150,000 and
wow, yeah.
rent it for $1,400 a month. You need to think about that as opposed to buying something in Southern California where it's so expensive. So I think you look at what are the opportunities that are coming out of this. And certainly you think about the companies that all of a sudden pivoted and started making masks. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Like, where are the masks with smiles or frowns on them? Turn it upside down and do the other way around. I mean, most people are not like me because I'm better looking with a mask on, but that's not true for most people. But yeah, that is so important. And when things are going uninterrupted, people don't stop and think about Indianapolis. And and then the first thing is, well, how would I ever take care of a property out there? Well, there are certainly ways of doing it. And of course, you can own 3 properties for the price of one out there, whether it's Indianapolis or whatever. But so that might be something to really, they would get a hold of you, talk to you about that kind of thing, correct?
Certainly. Or Texas or South Carolina or Arizona or other places that these are just great opportunities at today's interest rates. And again, at what we've been through. And I think one thing, and certainly, you've gone through a lot of changes this year, but I think we've had to learn to be together.
Yeah.
And to get along together and to be nice to each other. We're stuck together. And we, at our house, for example, we can't go out to eat every night. And we had to learn to, I think we learned to be nice to each other. I had to realize, that and you know how much I love my husband more than life
Yes.
itself. But I had to realize that he also had to work at home all day. And that was hard for him too. And it was something we had to work through together. And something, might be nice to talk about is how to stay connected when you can't see each other.
Yeah, that goes along exactly with what you had started to say that last time you were on. But let me just chime in to say that, yes, I think I would rather go to an office every now and then. That doesn't mean I have to go every day, but it means I want the camaraderie of other people. Before I got sick, and my situation's a little different than most people because I got sick last March, and and just starting to come out of it hopefully now. So I guess I picked a good year to be sick, huh?
You did. Yes.
Well, here's to me on that. But I love to take loan applications in person, and I would drive up to Santa Rosa, San Francisco, everywhere, San Diego. Just let me out. Let me see the world. And even when I wasn't working, I would take the train to San Diego or to Los Angeles on weekends, just to meet friends, to explore different restaurants, take the subways, buses, whatever, just to get out and be part of the herd. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of what you're getting into a lot right now. So go ahead, take on there.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see people, that I go to a lot of quote unquote seminars or workshops or mastermind groups, and we can't wait. And I know that when those things are available, you're going to see people there who can't wait to be together again. Will people go to a baseball game? You bet they will. Will people go to Disneyland? You bet they will. Absolutely they will. I don't know if anyone notices, kind of off the subject, Did anyone see at the Super Bowl that there were cardboard?
Yeah, I saw
cardboard
that. Cardboard cutouts and pre-recorded cheering.
I heard that you could buy one of those chairs, a cutout of yourself for like $150, and they would send you after the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that wasn't a bad idea to keep people involved and excited about that. But
And,
yeah,
could have afforded it. It'd be the only time I ever could afford to be at the Super Bowl.
Right. And you have yourself in an indelible, non-ever aging, cutout of yourself having fun at the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. So who would have thought a year ago that we would pay $150 to have a cardboard head in a seat at the Super Bowl, right? First of all, the Super
Bowl,
well, they never thought they'd be selling seats for $150 either. So,
no.
So we've had some interesting experiences. And for people, for high-end restaurants to do takeout only, that's been an experience. So let's talk about staying connected. How can people stay connected? And some people have been much better at or more committed to staying inside than I have. I work in an office by myself, somewhat like you do, so I don't have to wear a mask during the day because there's nobody here but me.
Right.
But I encourage people to do things like Zoom calls or to send each other videos, just learn how to take a video on your phone and send it to your kids, or do a Zoom call. We did that with my mom, and we could connect with all of us all around the country and see each other.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what a good way to see each other and stay connected, not feel so isolated.
Isolated is really one of the big dangers that, can come across in this kind of a situation, in this kind of a lifestyle, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that some people have been so afraid because when this all started, none of us knew. Who knew? We didn't know.
No.
Last 3 months, but people were saying, we remember we didn't go to the grocery store without gloves on.
Right.
Some of us, one of our friends bought so you're going to have to help me with this. It's an ultraviolet lamp.
Ah.
And he put it in his garage, and he put all of his food under that before he would take it in the house. Even
wow. That's pushing it, but I hadn't heard of people doing that. But yeah, why not? I use a walker now. And, am I old enough to wear a walker, to use a walker? Well, yes, I am. And there's a lot of people younger than me that use them too, because they unfortunately have this kind of a health issue or that. But, out of nowhere now, not all the time, hopefully I won't have to for another few years again. But, I had to face the fact of wearing not only a mask and gloves, but a walker too. And, you just do those things and you don't feel isolated. I mean, you could. I've got some relatives that I won't use a walker because I feel like I'm not part of the group anymore. I think that's silly and unfortunate.
Well, I think that, another thing is, let's think about some things that we did that we didn't think anything of. Like, think about some of the salad bars or buffets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't wait to tell you about it. Sean, do we need a break right now? All right. Well, let's take a quickie, okay?
All right.
And then I'll come back and we're going to talk about buffets, okay?
All right.
Because that's one of the things I miss the most in life. All right. Take it away, Sean. We'll be right back with Valerie V. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Oh, nice music to float into the evening with. But we are so lucky we are here again with Valerie V. We've been talking about real estate prices, the future of real estate, the future of prices, the future of interest rates. And now we're going to talk about something that's probably the most important subject of all, how much I miss buffets. And I'll tell you, I was watching, when I really got sick in the hospital, I couldn't watch food programs at all. But now, of course, I do. And they showed these buffets. I forgot whether it was Food Paradise or one of those shows. And I got myself into this tizzy thinking about what do I miss most of all when it comes to dining out. And one of the things that has to do with the fact that I used to weigh 300 pounds is, watching them try to lock the doors as I would come into a buffet. But there's several kinds of buffets. The Asian buffets are pretty big time these days, and I love sushi and things like that. And one of the places that I was really thinking about was Valerie, was in the same building that you're in. You know that Sakatumi?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. Everything is made fresh and a great price. So I'm thinking, now, is that my number one thing I miss? Or how about like the Asian buffets that you actually get up and go to, one counter and another, and you get all the sushi and other types of things, and Chinese and Asian foods. And then I was thinking of places like Texas de Brazil, which isn't too far from us, and those kind of places where they bring all the meat on earth over to you and slice it at your table.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was just in a tizzy not knowing which one of those things I missed the most. And then I had to stop and ask myself, are they coming back? So there's a serious question for us.
Well, that is a good question, because so we went to Bristol Farms for Thanksgiving to get some last minute things, and they've got the buffet line, but now everything is packaged it's put in those spaces. Or Mother's Market, the same thing. It's put in those spaces, but it's in little plastic to-go containers.
Right.
Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. I don't know. I think that some of it will come back, and some of it's going to take a bit of time.
One more type of buffet. The Korean barbecue, where you cook at the table.
Oh, yes.
I love that stuff. Especially when you get like the pork and the bacon stuff, and you crisp it up real black and crispy on the edges. Wow. Oh,
or
well.
The Benihana kind of places.
The which kind?
Like the Benihana kind of places. Like kind of the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I wish I could go get a box full of that stuff and even bring it home, but I'm not sure you can do that. But we've got your Zilver Realty Group and the vacation rentals logos showing up on the screen right now.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
It might be a good time, before I forget, to break in and for you to give all of your services and all of your contact information while I sit and dream of of really dark bacon frying on the grill in the middle of the table at the Korean barbecue.
Sounds good. So let me give you my direct number for the people on this call. They can call me direct. I'll give you my private number. It's area code 714-334-9156. 334-9156. And to reach me in my direct email, it's Valerie at ValerieV.com. My last name starts with a V, also for Van is over. So it's VALERIE at VALERIEV.com. We would love to hear from you, and I would love to help any of your real estate or mortgage or property management questions. We certainly would love to help you. Feel free to just reach out. Even if it doesn't involve us, we're glad to help you.
I know, that's the big thing. Even if it doesn't involve you, but giving out information, that does involve you. So whether or not you're a part of a transaction, I know that you personally still feel involved. And that's why people should put you at the top of their pile, the top of their list.
We certainly would like to be.
And that's whether someone is looking to sell a home, correct? Whether somebody is looking to buy a home. And, one interesting thing you brought up is that, in this day and age, maybe you do want to pivot and decide, instead of having one property that's worth $2 million in, Southern California, maybe you'd like to right size to something either close by or, even close by, but then get two or three or two vacation type or rental properties elsewhere. And you can also help them manage those or set them up with a property manager in the area that knows the area. And, so they don't have to feel like they're out there in outer space. Their hand is being held, and they have a future. And maybe this is a good time to stop and think about things like that, right?
Absolutely. And we have a network of professionals that we work with around the country. We happen to own a little vacation rental property outside of Nashville, and we have a property that we've had for a long time. We trust him implicitly, and he manages our properties for us. So don't be afraid to ask, because most people are using a local property manager anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the property manager's there. You're still having someone take care of those things for you.
Yeah, you want a property management manager anyway. If you're old like myself, you can buy a duplex or a fourplex someplace, depending on where. If I could have a duplex, which I'm not even sure I can still do in the Inland Empire, but let's say you could. I could buy it with a reverse mortgage, have no payment on it, and still collect rent on the second property. Now, do I want that friend, that other person that moved in next door, to know I own it? Probably not. I don't want them knocking on my door in the middle of the night when something goes wrong. As nice a guy as I am and would like to fix it up for them, why? Just let somebody who is professional at that take care of that, keep everything on a nice, smooth sailing situation.
But the other thing about that is it also separates you from your tenants. You don't want your tenants to know where you live. You don't want your tenant, and they may be the nicest people right now, but they're not the nicest people forever.
When something goes wrong.
Right.
And you want to still be the nicest person when something goes wrong, because if something goes wrong, it's fixable. That's all. And if you have an impartial person who your renters know is an impartial person that's just trying to help, then that's fine for everybody.
Right.
That sounds so good. I'm thinking about Indianapolis again. I wonder what kind of buffets they have.
I don't know. I lived in Indiana, and I know that we always had good food, so I would suppose that
There you go. I mean, good food is still out there.
It is.
The problem is a lot of the food servers and people like that, they are not still out there. And I feel very, very sorry for some of those people. So, I was on Ron Siegel's show last month, which reminds me, I'm going to be on his show again here this Thursday. But he was suggesting if you're in a business that's not suffering, like, thank God some of us are in those situations, take that money. I mean, that money that's coming to you from the government, you have to pay taxes on that. But if you give it to charity, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So it might be something to think about too, when you've got money coming in that maybe you don't need right now, but if you give it to some kind of charity, maybe it'll come back 10 times over to you. That it's something to really think about.
Yes. And I'd like to have a discussion about that another time, about the way that people can use their properties for a tax write-off by donating some of it to charity, even though they haven't died yet. as a way to a great new way, but something that most of us don't know about how to use our.
Well, let's get you scheduled up here the next few days for your next appearance, because I love the shows when you're on them.
Well, that's nice. I like being on it too. We've got a lot of history. We communicate well together. We have fun together.
Yes, this is true, and I really really enjoy it. And it's great to know that you are doing well in the real estate and lending field, and that you are available to help everybody listening to this program and everybody else in being able to move forward with their own thoughts, their own ideas. And whether you know what you want to do for sure in the future, call Valerie, just have a good talk. You can see how easy it is to talk to Valerie and how easy it is to get great information from her that you can use either now and or in the future. And if you want to also talk to Valerie about Peking to Paris, like I do, I know you want me to ask her more questions about real estate and rates and things like that, but what's on my mind is, like most of us, I've been pent up for the last year. I want to get out there on those car rallies. Now, is your husband looking at any of these other things? Not that you can do it right now. I understand that. But these rallies, they still take place, don't they?
They do. I'm not sure there is any being held right now.
Well, I'm gonna figure probably not right now, but still, we need things to look forward to, all of us.
We get catalogs all the time from the different rally organizations around the world and what they're planning coming up. And yes, he would love to do that.
And are you going on the next one as his sidekick?
If I'm invited, I'm not sure I will be, but if I was, I would. Jay, he found something in across country that's called the Lincoln Highway.
Yeah, I read that. That was before Route 66.
Apparently, yes, and it's a place that a route that he would like to drive.
Yeah. I've tried as much of Route 66 as possible. Some of it's still there, some of it isn't. But the Lincoln Highway predates Route 66 quite a bit.
And I think the highway is northern route, I think.
Yes, I think it goes into San Francisco or somewhere like that, then from Chicago or whatever, or New York City, I'm not sure. But yeah, and I'm sure, of course, it probably some spaces could use some paving, probably. But, that's part of the joy, right? And they usually have cars of that vintage, correct?
They do.
And when her husband went on that last one, what was that car again? It was a 32 or 34 Buick or something?
He was in a 30. Was he a 30? No, he's in a 26 Buick.
Like I said, a 26 Buick.
Yeah, it was really an old car. It was car number 16.
Wow.
It might be of interest to your listeners is that, some of us may think that we're too old to do things.
No.
I mentioned this in the last program, but the oldest gentleman in the Peking to Paris rally that he was in was not allowed to get a driver's license in China because he was too old. He had navigator had to get the license to go through China. Once they were out of China, he could drive. But what is really interesting, Jay, is that he ended up winning the whole rally.
Wow.
Oldest driver, and they wouldn't allow him to drive through China, but he won the whole rally.
Wow. So you see, you never can take it for granted what other people say about you or say about your class of person or your type of anything, personality or whatever. It's all up to you, right?
Absolutely.
So before we take off again, which you know how fast this goes by.
It does.
Let's let you have a couple of minutes if you like or of course we can always talk about the next car rally or the next book. But let's say somebody tuned in maybe a little late or this or that, and we've got maybe 5 minutes left for 5 or 6 minutes left for just your words of wisdom as it pertains to the entire real estate world, whether that's living in your own home or whether that's income opportunities, anything like that, because I put you on the top of the list of people whose ideas need to be listened to.
We've all been through so much, and we've always heard you should live today and make every day count. And I hate to say that now more than ever, because that's always the case. But
it is.
It is. But there are so many resources available that no one should feel that they're in a situation that they can't, that's unbearable for them, that they can't change. If you're in a home that's too large, but you feel you've got too much stuff, you don't have anybody to help you downsize. There are groups. We know of people all the time who can come and help people clear out their homes and downsize. If you want to right size because you don't want a 2-story house, or because now you're working from home, or you want to have a hobby from home, or you want to learn to do more cooking or things like that, now is the time to do that. So make your home your place. It's your safe place. It's your safe haven, and have something that you've always wanted to have, be it investment properties, be it your home. If you need to, make some changes in your home, but don't wait to live your life. Live your life every day. If this was, and I think we talked about this when we talked about pivoting, if you knew that this is the way your life was going to be, how would you want it to be? And what adjustments would you make to your life if you knew this is how you were going to live all the time? And that would be, I think, a good thought path for people, is if this is how it has to be.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Right. I mean, for me, God forbid I would have to learn to cook.
I do cook. I cook a lot, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to cook, but
I also eat a lot too.
Yeah.
But I used to eat a lot more than I do now. So, it's okay. But I'll tell you, losing weight does help. I've had for the last 20, 25 years diabetes. And for the last, 3 weeks, my blood sugar is under 100, 3 times a day. So it's like I don't even have it anymore. But, I'm not saying that's the way it's going to be forever. But, being healthy does help. And of course, everybody told me you're going to feel so much better when you lose all that weight. And I did lose the weight, and I do feel now all I feel is cold on a winter's day. But, it is good. I was on 9 different prescriptions. Now I'm on 3. So this is good. So I did a lot of pivoting, but not necessarily pre-planned like you're talking about. So we need to listen to Valerie and do this pre-planned pivoting, whether it has to do with the investments, your property. You're sitting on a lot of property, perhaps, and you have family that may need something and may not need something. Talk to Valerie and find out how to best get everybody in your life into a better situation, because that's important.
And Jay, sometimes I don't know exactly who's in our call today, but someone may be here who has parents that they need to help, or parents need help, and they don't know what to do. Because at some point we become our parents. We become the parents, right? I'm my mom's parent. And it would be good to learn things in advance of what do I need to do if my parent was put in a nursing home. How would I take care of them?
Yeah.
And how find the right place. And I think we talked about this on the last call. We were in a situation with my dad where all of a sudden we had to put him in a nursing home. We had like 24 hours to put him somewhere. I didn't even know how to start that search.
Yeah, you need to start talking to people now. You need to start interviewing people like Valerie right now, and set up your own, as Ron would say, set up your own homeowners board of directors, which Valerie should be definitely on that board of directors for you. And I've got that one good friend, that great gerontologist, attorney Susan Geffen. I think I mentioned it last week. She wrote that book, Take That Nursing Home and Shove It. But what she talks about in there too is learning what's what and the alternatives. And you don't have alternatives if you wait till the last minute. You just don't. It's going to cost you more money. You're going to have less choices if you wait till the last minute to make any decision.
Absolutely.
And that has a lot to do with what Valerie is saying, with something as important as your parents, even yourself, okay? Nobody, even now, it seems like even worse time to be in a nursing home than it was 2 years ago. And you want to look at all of the various different things or different choices that you have, and you do have choices. The thing is, you don't know what all those choices are unless you reach out to people and learn a great deal about what is actually out there. And remember, I will have this show and all the others, of course, on the YouTube channel and on my site, drheckham.com or theeducatedretirement.com. You can always call me. I can always get you in contact with Valerie, whether you want to talk about buying real estate, selling real estate, or just doing what might be the most important thing we talked about today, which is looking at the pivot, not necessarily taking that pivot, but stand on that pivot point and look around you. Valerie is like a, like a, what do you call those lights on the, on the edge of the sea, one of those lights to show your way so you don't bang into the rocks. She's like a lighthouse, and she's lighting the way from where that lighthouse is pivoting in a complete circle, giving you all kinds of great ideas. So I think we need to, that's something, I know I've got my health issues, but as soon as I'm done with my health issues, that's something I definitely need to be looking at. And whether, it's this, or whether you want to talk to me about a reverse mortgage, and, that's something we can definitely talk about, but, it's not what most people think it is. It's not necessarily losing your equity in anything. It's just making your equity available to you when you need it in the future. And that's one of those things about being prepared and calling people well in advance. So, Valerie, I can't thank you enough. We're almost done, believe it or not. It went by quickly, didn't it? We got 2 minutes, so I'll tell you, just in case. People now have been driving, now they're home, they have a pen or something and they're ready to write down your contact information one more time, Valerie. Go ahead, please.
Your people, young people on this call, it's 714-334-9156. And my email is, and you can text me at that number, or my email is Valerie, Valerie, at ValerieV.com.
And what have you got to lose? Nothing. What have you got to gain? Everything. And you can text if you don't want to talk to somebody in person. Same with me. Text them, email them.
Absolutely.
Just get a conversation started. That's all there is to it. And just remember now, Valerie, every time I think of Valerie, I'll be seeing her as a lighthouse out on the point.
I would love to be remembered that way.
Well, that's it. From now on, that is what you are. But you don't have to be remembered, just thought of, because you're still around. Remember, we all. Yeah. All right. So I really, really, really want to thank you for a wonderful couple hours here.
Thank you for having me.
No, we will do a lot more together too. Have a little patience with me and getting my health back, and then we'll be rolling downhill, okay?
We'll do that.
And in the meantime, I want to let you know that Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week. And everyone have a great week and stay safe, okay?
Valentine's Day.